Hey, Journey family and friends, let me welcome you to this week's edition of Midweek Conversations, always joined by Pastor Dustin Agard. So good to have you, brother.
Yes, sir.
And we got some special guests that we are excited to introduce. Pastor Dustin, why don't you just quickly say all the names of this fine-looking group?
Yep. So to my left, we got Brendan, Katie, Brooke, and Josh with us.
All right, so Dustin, these are our pastoral leadership residents. So before we get into a little bit of their individual stories, let's unpack a little bit of why a residency program and what kind of prompted you and inspired you to want to do that here.
Yeah, there's a book by a guy named Dave Ferguson called Hero Maker. And really the whole idea behind Hero Maker is to, as simple as it sounds, instead of being the hero is to create heroes. And that whole idea is what discipleship is. Mm-hmm. And the book is about church planning, and every church needs leaders. Mm-hmm. And the success of the church isn't not only on God, but on the health of the leader. And so really unpacking that book, I've been a part of some residencies in the past, and I've seen the power of them. And not just the power, but the impact all over the world. And then just really, something that's interesting, I probably get 3 to 4 phone calls a month of people looking for sharp leaders in the church. And there is just a massive drought of church leaders and of leaders in general. And so the first rung is people say, hey, do you know anybody that can fill this job? Then the second one is, are they good? And then the third thing is, do you know anybody? Are they good? And are they healthy? And the amount of people finding good, healthy leaders is rare.
Shrinking.
And so what we decided to do is let's try to create a residency where we raise them up. Let's raise up. What does it mean to be healthy? What does it mean to win in ministry? Let's teach this to them and then send them out. And that's really the Great Commission. That's what Matthew 28 is all about. So that's the heartbeat.
I told Pastor Dustin this before, but I've been the pastor here 10 years, so it was always kind of in my heart to do something like this, to try to see what we could do to raise up, particularly younger leaders, and to come to enter into life with us, ministry with us, and do what we can. But you were the one, until you came, to really give it legs and hands and feet, and to say, I think we could do it like this, Pastor John. Until you came, it was just an idea, but now it's become a reality. And I believe that as the years go by, this will become one of the most significant marks that Journey will leave and will be known for is a residence program like this that goes well beyond what we do at a Popka or Lake County or even our online community. Is what we're doing to invest in the lives of people like Katie and Brendan and Brooke and Josh and those that are going to come after them and just see what God does.
Absolutely. And really what it is on a practical level, it's a 2-year residency pastoral leadership program. So people come here for 2 years. It's a 2-year commitment, which is a major deal. That's a big sacrifice. Our goal was to get top-notch leaders. So basically, these are leaders that could easily get a job in their field somewhere else, but they're choosing to defer that to really make themselves better. And so for us, there's a burden that says if they're going to sacrifice 2 years, we need to make sure that we do all we can to help develop and coach them. So it's a 2-year program. We have tracks. We have a worship ministry track, children's ministry. We have student ministry, all 4 of y'all student ministry, and spiritual formation. So you come here, you learn it, and we want to teach. It's kind of like boot camp, or the way I think about it is Harvard. People say, well, do you like Harvard? Well, if you don't like to study, you're not going to like Harvard. If you don't like high capacity leadership, you're not going to like this residency. We try to find people that are the 3 H's, that are holy, humble, and hungry. And when you get people that are holy, pursuing God with all they can, that are hungry, they just want more, and they're humble, they're teachable, that we believe that's the recipe to creating some incredible next generation leaders. So we get excited about that. So these are not just anybody, these are sharp leaders already coming in. And then what we want to do is we want to develop and coach them to the next level.
Let me just stop and say, I've never been associated with Harvard before with anything. So I just had to soak that in a moment, that something we would do here would be associated
Well,
with
I
that.
say it like that because...
That just hasn't been my experience or my world.
I say it like that because there are some... Not everybody wants to put the work in.
Yeah.
And this is not a casual... This is hard, intensive work. And I don't play around with that during the interview. I let people know this is not casual. This is not small. I know everybody doesn't see it. They work hard. They work long because I want them when they are done to say, I didn't just have a good time or I didn't just experience God. I reached a new level of my leadership and pastoral ministry than I ever thought possible because of the coaching. And the coaching is a big part, if not the biggest part of this. So every week, each resident gets coached for an hour. Right. And the first and third of the month, they're coached on their personal life, and the second and fourth, professional. Wow. So personal is your habits and figuring out whether it's budget, sleeping patterns, all that. And then second and fourth is on your professional, is on figuring out how do you win in the workplace and ministry.
Good. And there's also a weekly classroom time.
Yes.
We'll come back to that in just a moment. Well, let's start with our experienced Brendan and Katie are residents that showed up here in 2020. I mean, seriously, this year's been so long and so weird. I'm like, did you guys come last fall or did you come in the spring? When did you start?
I believe we started in January.
In January.
Of this year.
Of this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's been a wild ride so far, but it's definitely been a lot of fun. Already learned a lot. I think this last season was a great time when Dustin was like, we're figuring this out as we go, but this is going to be a great time for y'all to learn. And I know I've learned a lot throughout this last season. I'm really appreciative of it.
And none of us at the time had any idea what was happening in March and, the whole plans for all this. I mean, it's like, it's crazy, but you guys you've hung in and stayed with us through that. So that's been great. Brendan, tell us just a little bit about it.
We taught them something that you never learned.
Wow.
We taught them how to minister during a pandemic.
Yes, no kidding.
So that's something you never learned, Pastor John, right?
Well, what you learned about that, please tell me so I can help others because I help myself. Go ahead.
Cool. Again, my name is Brendan Murphy. I'm one of the middle school residents here. A little bit about me is I was studying at Hillsong College in Sydney, Australia for a little bit. And I just thoroughly enjoyed learning theology there. I'm still running towards my master's in theology online currently. And something that really drew me to Journey was something that I lacked at Hillsong. I very much lacked seeking community. I felt like I had a drought there, and there was nothing wrong there. I think it was just where I was at personally. And so with this past year, I decided right before COVID hit to actually come back. And I know that God called me back for just a time as this. Met Dustin through one of my friends, Josh Bishop, one of our worship leaders here. And he just instantly brought me here. And I felt this instant wrap of a community, something that I've never felt before. And so it just instantly felt like, okay, God, this is why you brought me here. And so again, I'm very grateful for where I am and the things I've learned. I think in the past year, God really was just focusing in on me to be like, you need to look at me for a little bit. I know things are crazy. You don't know what's going to happen the next year, but just look at me for a little bit and I got you. And I've definitely seen his faithfulness with that. And something again about me, this is my favorite verse, couple of verses in the Bible. It's John 15:12 through 14. And it says this is my commandment. Love each other in the same way I have loved you. There is no greater love than to lay down one's life for one's friends. You are my friends if you do what I command.
That's awesome, Brendan. And just so you know, most of you probably know Hillsong is not this little church that's, tucked away somewhere. We're talking about Hillsong in Australia, that so much worship music and other congregations have spawned from that Brendan had some background there. And I remember hearing that the first time, and I'm like, what are we going to do to help this guy? Seriously, I thought, he's been in Australia at stinking Hillsong. I mean, what are we going to do to help him out?
Week one, we put in a tape called Brian Houston. We said, watch this.
So anyhow, that's cool. Katie, tell us a little bit about you.
My name's Katie. I actually started back in January with the residency, but I get to work primarily with the high school team. So I'm the high school resident. Brendan is mostly the middle school resident, but we kind of co-pilot some stuff together, which has been really fun. I actually started the residency because I met Pastor Dustin Agard in an airport 3 weeks before I was about to graduate from Liberty University. So I'd been studying ministry, Christian leadership and church ministry, and I had nothing lined up after I graduated. I was really just focusing on being a part of my brother's wedding, which is why I was traveling in the first place. And I got trapped in the Charlotte airport in North Carolina. And if you're familiar with that airport at all, it's massive. I mean, it's just spread out over just this giant piece of property. And I'm trapped for about 24 hours. And lo and behold, through a very crazy series of events, I get connected to Dustin, whom I had never met. And we just rattle off a list of similarities from being cancer survivors to being huge sports fans. Then all of a sudden we realize we're both from Orlando, Florida, and he just so happens to be traveling to my school, Liberty University, because he wants to start a residency program, which is exactly the next step that I was looking to take. So we connected immediately, and I just fell in love with his heartbeat behind the program, and I knew immediately that even if we didn't really know what it was going to look like, I wanted to work for this man and I wanted to be a part of this church. So here we are, and it's been awesome so far.
Yeah, we actually weren't supposed to launch the residency until this summer. And when I met Katie, and she's like, well, I could wait till the summer or I'm good now. And I'm thinking, Katie, we don't have anything lined up plan-wise. Why don't you start and we'll just figure it out. And then shortly after I met Katie is when I met Brendan, and I said, all right, Lord, we have two people. Let's hurry up and put the framework around it. And really what Katie taught me was this. God spoke to me so clearly because putting the residency together, we want to do something big, but I'm thinking, where are we going to get these students? And when God introduced me to Katie in the airport, God just said, I'll bring the students to you. You just be faithful to what I'm calling you to do. And I thought, thank you, Lord. And so really cool to have them. They've done such a great job of just the way they've led, pioneering this residency program. Yeah. Y'all are pioneers. No matter what happens in the future, y'all have helped shape it. And so really, really grateful God gave us two all-stars to start off with.
It's really important that we started with Brendan and Katie because the bar got set really, really high early on, that this is the quality, the caliber of people that the Lord is drawing here. And I just, again, commend you for just being tenacious and so positive about doing this. I was like, really? This is people are going to come here for 2 years? Young adults are going to come here for 2 years for little or nothing, really, and do this? Yes. And you said, yes, Pastor John, I so believe that. And I remember when you came back from that trip, and after you'd met Katie in the airport, you said you were so excited about what could happen, and we've just seen that develop. So now we shift over. We met a little bit about Brooke and Josh. If you were a part of our online or Lake County or Apopka this past weekend, you saw Josh and you saw Brooke and heard a little bit of their story, so we'll talk to them just a little bit more. But here's what's interesting. So they have come online in the midst of a pandemic. I mean, Brendan and Katie, not aware of what was coming, nor were any of us in January, but these guys come on fully aware of what's happening. And when you told me, I again, it doesn't sound like I'm encouraging Dustin in this very much, but I was like, Dustin, seriously, people are going to house these folks?
Do you know what you're doing at all?
Do we want to bring two more residents here? Man, it's great, the two we got. So then we get these two rock stars as well.
But the fair question was, I mean, we're in the middle of COVID.
Yeah.
Because the goal is every semester add 2 or 3.
Yeah.
And the thought was, well, maybe we should put that on pause, keep doing what we have with them.
Yeah.
So a fair question was, do we continue this? And the only question I kept wrestling with to answer that question was, does the church still need more leaders? And the answer is yes. And because the church still needs more leaders, then we need to do more training.
Right.
And so the answer to me was, if people want to come, we will train and equip them because the church needs more leaders. And so absolutely.
Cool. All right, Josh, Tell us a little bit more.
Yeah, so like they said, my name is Joshua Thiaga, and I graduated Liberty last fall, and that's actually how I came to know about Journey and the residency program. It's kind of crazy. On the same trip that Katie met Dustin, Dustin was on his way, and he taught one of my classes. So I met him on the same exact trip, and I remember that class. It's only a 50-minute long class, and he taught the first 45 minutes, and I was like, wow, I just learned more in 45 minutes than I have in the last 3 weeks of this class. I want to work with that guy. And then he said, hey, we're starting a residency program. If anyone is interested, come give me your number. Let's talk and we can get things moving and applying things like that. And I'm like, heck yeah, I'm doing that. I totally want to just kind of sit and learn from just his ministry and just from his wisdom. So I applied. Months went down the line, and I was looking at different options after graduation, and now I'm here. So I'm very happy.
Let's fill in the blank, because I
here.
think it's important to fill in a little bit of blank. So in February, I think it was, you officially applied,
February, yeah.
and you just graduated at that time, I believe, or were you going to graduate in spring?
So I graduated in the fall.
In the fall. So you just graduated, you applied.
Was doing my master's.
And at that time, we didn't have an open position, and I couldn't offer a future position because I wasn't sure of where we would be. And so I had to be honest and say, listen, I don't know if we have a position available. And this is what's so cool. Josh had a really good position at another church that was offering not just this position, but to pay for his master's.
Wow.
And it's a great church, big church, influential church. And they offered that to him. And Josh and I are talking, and I said, I can't offer you anything. And he turned that down with the possibility of coming here. And after I heard that, I said, I want to get somebody that has enough faith to obey God's calling like you did, Josh. And so that encouraged me. And I think that just shows your heart to want to be here and want God to do something new in you. And so I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I remember the moments, and I was kind of discerning between the two churches. And man, everything that, talking to mentors and just in my own quiet times, everything that the Lord was leading me was to wait out and pursue going down to Journey. And the Lord is good, He had everything under His control. So I'm happy it worked out.
What you said you're from Northern Virginia. What part?
Loudoun County. It's about an hour west of DC.
Okay, west of DC.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. All right, Brooke, tell us a little bit about yourself. Now, you mentioned a school that you graduated from. Was it Short?
Yes, sir. It's called Shorter University. Yes, sir.
Shorter University.
You only go there for 1 year, not 4. Shorter.
I wish.
Wow.
It's a bad joke. Sorry.
Where is that located at?
So I'm actually from Georgia. So it's located in Rome, Georgia. It's in the northwest corner. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, so like they said, my name is Brooke Renfro. I am from Georgia, graduated from Shorter back in May. And the way I came to know about Journey is actually through Dustin. Dustin was my student pastor when I was in high school. And so he's seen me come to accept Christ, saw me, I'm pretty sure he baptized me, when I was a junior in high school. And he's the first person who I got to lead underneath, volunteering in ministry. And being underneath his leadership really genuinely inspired me to just want to pursue that more. And ever since then, I've known that I was called into full-time ministry in some way. And over the years throughout college, just try to figure out what exactly that looked like for me. I'm trying to figure out exactly what God has called me to do within ministry. I just know for sure that He's called me to spend my whole entire life dedicated to ministry. I want to put my whole life surrender to Him and figure out what exactly it looks like to use my life to build the kingdom of God. And something that was really cool, and one reason that really drew me to Journey, was Dustin talking about the residency program, how he wasn't nervous at all that I said I don't know exactly what I want to do. I don't know exactly what I'm called to do. He just said, let's figure it out together. I want you to come here and let's figure it out together. And to me, that was just really encouraging to hear that I didn't have to have it all figured out before I got here. And obviously with this season of life, finding a host home was a little bit harder than I expected it to be, and kind of just entered into a waiting period. But I was so confident that Journey was where God was calling me to be. And so I told Dustin, I'm ready to come whenever, but I'll just wait until
the opportunity comes. So it's been a great experience. Yeah.
And I love your heart, and so many of us can learn from that. Is I don't have to know everything to take that first step. And maybe that's you, is you just take whatever God is calling you to do, take that one step. You don't have to know it all. And then like you said, trying to find a host home for both of y'all. I mean, Josh, we were looking for a host home for months and months and months for you. And then Brooke, same thing. And COVID, it's a little bit of a challenge, and the Lord provided. And as a matter of fact, the guy that is behind the camera, him and his wife, they are your host.
Yeah.
And so normally we would say, tell us some crazy things about him, but since he's right there, so we have two great hosts that are hosting both of them, and we're so grateful. And if you're listening and you're thinking, man, I wish I could have hosted, guess what? In January, we're probably going to have some more. Next summer, we're going to have some more. And we actually are really, really looking for more hosts. It's a 2-year commitment. And so, yeah.
Couple things. So, Brendan is in, you said middle school resident, you're high school resident. What area are you?
I'm going to be working with Katie in the high school residency.
In high school, and what about you, Brooke?
I'll be with Brendan in the middle school.
Oh, cool. All right, good. So that's awesome that we got 2 middle school, 2 high school residents. So let me just, I'm going to speak as a parent, because I'm old enough to be the parent to all of you. What'd your parents say? When you told them, because I have a little bit of experience with this. So my oldest daughter, Anna, she finished her college at Milligan. She went to this little Christian college in Tennessee called Milligan College. And so she's a senior, and she's about ready to wrap up. And she said, Dad, I figured out what I'm going to do next. I said, what are you going to do? She said, I'm going to volunteer for a year in mission year. And I said, you're going to what? And she said, I'm gonna go to one of the major cities in our country, and I'm gonna volunteer for a year. And I'm thinking, you just got your degree. I said, we've been waiting on you to get going here on your career, whatever that is. And I remember as a parent just saying, well, that sounds good, but what are you gonna do? And I learned from her experience in that year how transformational that was for her. To just go and just invest with a team of girls in inner city Atlanta, and what they did, and I learned the value of that. But I also know as a parent that sometimes you can, when you finish college and all of your extremely bright young people, I know there's opportunities that you have, and your parents are probably saying, you're going to do what for 2 years? So I'm just curious about how'd that conversation go?
Yeah, I can talk about, I remember my dad, I love my dad, and my dad's one of those people that whenever I go to talk to him about anything, I know what he's going to say. And so I go and I'm like pitching this whole thing to him as if like I was like, he's the one that gets to decide it. And I give him my whole spiel, and he looks at me and goes, cool, you going to keep doing school though? And I was like, yes, Dad. Like, I'll keep doing school. And he's like, I like it then. Cool. And that was his biggest thing. It was like, as long as you just keep doing your degree, go for it. And so my dad's actually a big part of me able to do the residency and just helping me out wherever I can. But he definitely was a little bit timid. He was like, well, who is it? Can I look him up? And then I want to see everything you do. So I sent him things, and he's like, you still doing the residency? I'm like, yes, Dad. Like, here's a video of something I did. He's like, oh, that looks like a lot of fun. I hope you're enjoying it. I'm like, cool.
That's awesome.
That is.
Yeah, I actually have the privilege of living with my family right now. So I did just spend the last 4 years in Virginia, and getting to come home and be hosted by my own family has been very special. But when I told them initially about the residency program, they did have some questions. They were like, okay, so, what are you doing? Like finances, all these really appropriate, great questions to be asking a college graduate. And I ultimately just laid out like, this is where I'm at with it. I'm going to be praying. I would love you guys to be praying. And we ended up making a decision really as a family, I would say, that this is exactly where I needed to be. And this is exactly where the Lord was calling me. And I remember talking to Dustin when I was interviewing. I didn't even really know I was being interviewed. I just was invited out to come take a look at the church. And I remember telling Dustin that my family means so much to me. And if they weren't in the boat ready to go on this journey with me, then I was probably going to have to say no. I have so much respect for them. They're incredible, godly people. So I'm very grateful, and they're totally on board, and they have loved every minute of getting to watch me be a part of this. So.
And I remember the way, Katie, that you honored your parents and how you talked about them is one of the things that made me want to make sure you were here. I thought that was really good. How about y'all?
So for me, my parents are very supportive of whatever I kind of want to do, as long as they always ask me, "Are you sure? Are you sure this is what you want to do?" But something that I thought was really cool, my dad lives far across the other side of the country, so he was a little nervous about me moving even farther away from him. But just to attest to Dustin being a leader when I was a student, when he heard Dustin's name was going to be a part of it, he instantly was like, okay, I trust it. Like, if Dustin's there, then I trust it. And Dustin and my dad did not even barely know each other. So it showed me just the impact that a leader can make on a parent when they reach out to a student's parents, just the impact that can make. So that was a huge testament for me, even more wanting to come here and do this, but definitely reassured him a lot knowing that Dustin would be here. So that was my experience.
Yeah, for me, my parents are both business people, and they have always been extremely supportive, especially when I first decided I wanted to go into youth ministry. I could tell at first, though, my dad was like, how are you going to support yourself? He never said anything like that.
That's what a dad asked.
When he sees this, I don't know, we'll have a conversation. But he is, honestly, him, my mom, my entire family has been so supportive of my decision to move forward in ministry, and further my decision to come down here. I have felt so blessed to have supportive parents, because I have friends who do not, and they're going into ministry. So I just want to say thank you to my family,
Which
my aunts and uncles.
you love more, your mom or dad? I'm just kidding.
We're going to
Here's one of the things that we frame up the residency as. We give hands-on experience, we give classroom training, but the big thing is I want them to be the youth pastor, but we have a safety net. So in the real world, you're not going to have a senior pastor that's always going to know how to coach or care about them. They're going to say, hey, you just do whatever. But here we're going to say, no, go for it. But when you fail, not if, the residency is meant to teach you how to fail. When you fail, we have a safety net to say, okay, now why did you fail? How can we help? And what can you do? So that by the time they graduate, they know how to do every aspect of ministry and do it confidently.
Well, this has been a great conversation. We could talk a lot more, and maybe at some point we will just sit down again. Because first of all, I hope if you're a parent, you have even more confidence in your students coming to middle school and high school environments as you see the resident support that we have. And so we're grateful for that. But let me just say, just so impressed with all four of you. Absolutely. And huge answer to prayer that you guys are for us. And it's easy to think, sometimes in ministry, you kind of get used to the jokes of, oh, you just work an hour on Sunday, or you just, and people have no idea what you really do. And sometimes people can think, doing a program like this, oh, well, you couldn't get a real job, or you couldn't, do this, or, you guys set the bar really high, and you have options and such bright futures. Well, I'm humbled as the pastor. I'm humbled that you guys chose to come here, and I pray that what we can do is to help you be launched to wherever it is God has in store for you, and that we've added value to your trip here. And I just got to say again, Pastor Dustin, you're in a lot of these conversations that we hear from each of these. So good on you, man, for what you've done and your heart for this, and just leaning in to this whole residency program. It's, there's urgent things and there's important things. And urgent things we have to deal with right now, but important things, they don't always scream for our attention, but they're going to make more of an impact down the road. And the residency program was not an urgent thing, but it's an important thing. Yeah. And it's very important, not only to what we're doing right now, but to what God's going to be doing in the future. Yeah. So any final words from you?
Yeah, if you are a college student and you're thinking, man, maybe I want to be a resident, it's for people that have completed college and you have a full-time vocational ministry calling. That's who the residency's for. Feel free to reach out. We'd love to be able to talk to you more. Or maybe you would like to be a host home. We're looking to just line up host home for 2021. Love to be able to talk to you about that as well. Just reach out to us. But just so grateful. I want to echo what you said. Honored to have these four top caliber students. So excited.
Amen. Hey, thanks for joining us. This weekend, we're continuing our soul care series. We're going to hear about seasons of the soul, right?
Yes, sir.
And you're doing a little bit of soul care teaching with the residents right now, aren't
so
you?
we got this series on the weekend.
Yeah.
But the resident training on Wednesdays is all about soul care. We're doing a series called Seasons of the Soul, and I'm going to introduce that this weekend. So excited about that.
Awesome. Looking forward to having you join us either online or on site this weekend at Journey. And thanks for being a part of Midweek Conversations this week. Have a great week, Journey.